Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Melissa, and if you want to learn more about astrology, if you're new to it, or if you're just open to learning about the subject, please go ahead and subscribe. Today we're going to be continuing with our Mars sign series with Mars in Libra, and if you want, you can go ahead and follow my Tumblr at lunarcappy. I'm pretty active on there. I'm also accepting questions for my upcoming video, my upcoming Q&A video. Any general questions you might have about astrology, any concepts that you would like cleared up, or my opinion on certain things or certain subjects, go ahead and leave them in my inbox. I'm accepting any questions, very general stuff, general information, and nothing really specific to your own chart. I would like to answer questions that would be helpful for everybody. Yeah, you can go ahead and do that. Leave me a question if you're interested. And let's go ahead and get started with our next Mars sign, which is Mars in Libra. If you haven't looked up your birth chart yet, please do. I always leave a link in the description of where you can get your free birth chart pulled up. You'll need to know your birth time and your birth place, so be sure you have that information ready. Through finding out your birth chart, you can look up your other planets, your other placements, and it's so much more telling than just knowing, your zodiac sign, your sun sign. So please go ahead and do that if you haven't already. And so what does Mars mean in your birth chart? Your Mars describes how you take action. It describes how you stand up for yourself, how you fight, how you deal with confrontation. Do you like to confront people, or are you more of a passive sort of person who hates confrontation? It describes your anger, how you express your anger, how it comes off when you are bothered by something or someone or some situation, and really how you take action during conflict. It can describe your sexual nature, your turn-ons or turn-offs, how you express your passion. It also describes, the type of male you might be attracted to, or your idea of the ideal masculine. And if you do identify as male, then it will describe how you express your masculinity. What can we say about Mars in Libra? So Libra is actually ruled by Venus, and Venus is sort of the opposite of Mars, because Venus is all about, being pleasant, being using your attractive forces rather than your aggressive forces, and Mars is your aggression. It's how you go for what you want and take that action rather than that Venusian style of just sitting back and letting it come to you, or using your charm to get what you want. And Mars in Libra is very much going to think that using their charm will get them places, basically, and it's going to get them what they want. And so we can sort of see this Mars sign as being very indirect, as being very passive with when they want to get what they want, or when it comes to taking charge. But at the same time, Libra is also a cardinal sign. And what does cardinal mean? Cardinal is the leadership signs, along with Aries, Cancer, Capricorn. Libra knows how to get what it wants and knows how to start projects, and especially when it comes to relationships, they will be the ones who are initiating relationships and being the first one to reach out and being the first one to try to interact with you and get some type of one-on-one connection going with you. So Mars in Libra can really be invigorated by and motivated by starting relationships and getting to know people on a one-on-one basis, just connecting with them on a very basic level. But also, the idea of having people like them and letting a romance sort of develop between people could be a strong factor that motivates Mars in Libra. Mars in Libra can be very, very romantic and very, soft and just accommodating when they want something. They can be very charming. They can be very persuasive. Libra is an air sign, so they have this natural wit about them, this natural social grace and charm that really helps them get what they want, and they can really use their words for their own benefit, use a good argument, use their wit and just their intelligence to really speak for themselves and use the power of their own words to further themselves and to get people on their side. So, rather than using their force, rather than using like this bossy tactic, or threatening people to like do what they want, or else, they're gonna get their ass kicked, a Mars in Libra is more likely to try to accommodate them and try to appeal to the other person's sense of comfort, and making the decision seem appealing to them in whatever way that they can, and show that, let's say a Mars in Libra wants something for themselves. They will speak to the other person very calmly, very rationally, and use their charm, to make it sound like, this is a good idea for both of us, it's not just for me, but it's for you too. And, they're gonna make it sound like it'll be a great idea that will benefit both people, both parties. Mars and Libra can be very, very good at that, very persuasive, very charming. They are motivated by keeping the peace, the possibility of maintaining peaceful relationships with other people. A Mars in Libra really hates conflict, actually. Mars is the passion planet, and it's about war and battle and, fighting for yourself, fighting to get what you want. But Libra is all about balance, and it's all about peace and harmony. So, like, how really does this play out? Does it really make sense? And Mars in Libra will do things very differently from a typical Mars sign would, or that might be a little bit contradictory from the natural energetic expression of Mars. They might go about getting what they want in very like indirect or roundabout ways. They're not going to use, like I said, their brute force or threaten anybody, but rather, by appealing to them and appealing to their senses, and just making it seem like they care about not just themselves, but you too, and for everybody else, really. They can also be some of like the most selfless partners, the most selfless people, because they're not going to try to push for something that just benefits them. If anything, they are motivated and impassioned by trying to maintain peace wherever they are. And so if fighting for peaceful relations is something that they need to do, a Mars in Libra can be motivated by that. That sort of sounds like a contradiction, though, like a whole paradox of, fighting to keep the peace. So in that way, I wouldn't really consider Mars in Libra really a fighter, really like a warrior of any type. They really are lovers at heart. They're not fighters. They're not people who will push and push until they get their way. And a Mars in Libra is the most likely to try to see both sides of a situation, both sides of a conflict, and I can sort of see them as being a little bit indecisive because of that, just because they don't always know which side to pick. Even when it comes to standing up for themselves and fighting for their own desires, Mars in Libra is always going to be able to see both sides, their side and your side. And so if you're in a conflict with them, they might think, oh, I want this and I want this for myself, I think that this is right, but then I also see your side of the situation, and I can also see where you're coming from, and I understand how you're feeling, but then again, it kind of conflicts with what I want, but at the same time, I want you to be comfortable and you to get what you want. And so it's a little bit of this back and forth thing with Mars in Libra, and it can almost just kind of lead to nowhere when it comes to trying to fight for whatever it is that they want and what they stand for. A Mars in Libra probably won't be able to rest very peacefully or very well, knowing that there are some people who are unhappy and that they weren't able to satisfy everybody. This is a bit of a weakness for Mars in Libra, just because you have that Venusian pleasantry about them that's it doesn't always jibe very well with the natural expression of Mars and what Mars really stands for, which is like your ego and your own ego's will, your own drive. It might be something that seems very conflicting, a concept that is very contradictory and paradoxical, but maybe you can also see it another way, which is very Libra, which is I'm kind of channeling these Libra energies of I also see it this way. But, you can also see it as being very balanced and not being so forward with that aggressive Martian energy, but being able to hold back and balance it out with Venus as well. Mars in Libra, I think, would probably really hate, or really, a Mars in Libra probably would never use the word hate. I mean, that's exaggerating, but it's like they don't really hate anything. I would say they're one of those people who would rather prefer to say, I strongly dislike something, you know, because hate is such a strong word. And like, I don't hate anything, everything, there's something good to see in everything and everybody, you know. They're going to be that types of people who say that type of thing. But a Mars in Libra would strongly dislike fighting and just conflict, you know, just drama of any type of nature. And a Mars in Libra is going to try to avoid that type of drama as much as possible, because, you know, it's not pretty, it's not nice, it's not pleasant. And Mars in Libra is going to be motivated by keeping the peace, like I said earlier, but also like making things as ideal as possible, you know, making sure the situation is as ideal as possible. And like, they want to make sure that things are okay between you two, and at least on the surface. And so are they really concerned with, you know, like really establishing true peace between you, or just like pretending like things are okay? As long as they look good on the surface, you know, as long as, you know, you two don't look like you're fighting, because if it did, it would make them look bad. And so a Mars in Libra, rather than actually solve the conflict, they might dust it under the rug and pretend like it's not there, because, you know, drama and conflict is so ugly and it's gonna make me look bad. You know, Mars in Libra cares a lot about how they're viewed and how they're received by others, because Libra is that relationship sign. It's all about you and me, and I care so much about how you see me, how you perceive me. I would say that a highly evolved Mars in Libra will be able to clearly communicate and, you know, be more straightforward verbally, and express themselves more straightforwardly with how they feel about a person, about a situation. And they won't be so like caught up with the superficialities and the pleasantries of things. You know, they need to get things off their chest, and they need to solve a conflict the right way, you know, the mature way, with being amicable, but also being straightforward about what they want and being direct with what they want. And so I think that a healthy Mars in Libra would be able to solve conflicts this way, in a more like direct way, you know, rather than just pretending like everything's okay, you know. A Mars in Libra, anger is one of those emotions or those feelings that a Libra would kind of label as like ugly, and it's not nice, and it's not becoming of their personality. It doesn't make them look good. And so I think that a Mars in Libra would sort of like try to stay away from anger. They might be those types of people who will suppress it, or who might like deny it. You know, if they're feeling negatively about something or about someone, Mars in Libra will sort of like ignore the ugly emotions, and that includes anger. But it's normal and it's healthy to be angry sometimes, as long as you're expressing it the right way and you're not hurting other people. And a Mars in Libra might express their anger maybe through annoyance, or maybe through like irritation, or just like through verbally expressing their frustration, you know, rather than throwing a tantrum and, you know, making a scene, being super dramatic about it. A Mars in Libra will probably express very diplomatically why they dislike something. They're always going to have a reason for something, and that's one really strong point for Mars in Libra, I think, is being able to express their anger very diplomatically and very like clearly and concisely and like eloquently. They are an air sign, so Mars in air signs tend to be very good with words and expressing their frustration through words, through a way that makes sense and has some sort of reasonable logic behind it. That's one of their very strong points. A Mars in Libra sexuality is going to be very, very loving, very affectionate. I don't think that they would really appreciate, like, you know, like really strong, overly aggressive, passionate, or super physical sex. I think they would want it to be as romantic and as ideal as possible. So, you know, like having a super romantic atmosphere with like nice clothes and brand new sheets, like satin sheets, you know, like feeling luxurious while you're making love, and, you know, having just the right music and having like candles lit, you know, pulling out all the stops like that would really be a huge turn on for Mars in Libra. and, you know, using your words as well, using your words to, you know, really charm them and, you know, make yourself look good, make yourself seem appealing. That can really draw in a Mars in Libra and get them into the bedroom. A Mars in Libra will love hearing what you want. I don't think a Mars in Libra will really like dirty talk. You know, Mars in Libra will probably be very, very particular and be very like picky with how they want their sexual encounters to play out. The mood has to be just right. The person has to be just right. You got to say the right thing at the right time. Every move has to be like perfectly and beautifully like orchestrated. Mars in Libra will really have that sort of attitude, I think, when it comes to sex. They're going to be very, very giving to you. Intimately, they're going to make sure that, you know, you both have equal pleasure, that you're both equally satisfied, and, you know, they're probably gonna like want to take turns or something, you know, like, you know what I mean. You know, they're definitely not going to end the encounter without having you be satisfied. They're just gonna make sure that you're enjoying it as much as they are. Mars in Libra can be a little bit too much in their head sexually, you know, too much like about the intellectual side behind it, playing into the logical side of sex and things or ideas or suggestions that like make sense and that are actually like doable. But a Mars in Libra is probably not going to be super passionate, probably not going to be like super physical about sex. They might be like very cerebral about it and very like maybe just you know, thinking a bit too much, a bit too hard about it. They can be very, very verbal. They can be very romantic with what they're saying, but actually like physically proving it and physically like having it physically play out. They're not gonna want like messy sex. They're not gonna want like the dark side or like the dirty side of sex. You know, Mars in Libra they're probably just gonna want to talk about it mostly, rather than, you know, actually getting down and dirty with it. You know, I would say it's mostly about the experience, mostly about like the slow and steadiness of the encounter, of, you know, all the steps like leading up to it. They're probably going to be very big on foreplay, but the actual act of sex is going to be, they're not really going to want to have to like deal with all like the messiness of it and just like the dirty side of it. Anyway, that's about it for Mars in Libra. I think if I've missed out on anything, of any details that you notice or about Mars in Libra, or if you are Mars in Libra, please go ahead and leave a comment letting me know what you think, what your thoughts are. If you're enjoying my Mars sign series so far, please give this video a like and let me know what you think. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel again and follow me at lunarcappy and on Tumblr. I'll see you again for another Mars sign video coming very soon, as well as my Q&A video. And go leave your questions if you have any at lunarcappy.tumblr.com/ask, and make sure it's more of a general question and not really like something super specific to your natal chart, because again, I want to spread information or give information that will benefit, you know, like a lot of people, and, you know, not something super specific to just one person. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again soon.